Hello, everyone. We're back again with The Ultimatum, Episode 1, Part 2.
To have to give someone an ultimatum is already a lot. Now,
True.
to give someone an ultimatum and they could potentially walk out with someone else. But I think that the ultimatum will give us the answers we need because we're pushing ourselves and each other to the brink of uncomfortability.
I love Nick, but the grass could always be greener. JR is hot.
Ew, ugh, or ugh, already starting off to an annoying start. Ugh, break up. Your high compatibility partner, the love of your life, not going to talk that way about somebody else in that particular way. Again, there's nothing wrong with not being compatible. There's nothing wrong with breaking up. I really do think in my 40s, the book that's going to become my New York Times bestseller is going to be about rejection and how it's a consent issue and how it's great. Rejecting people is beautiful because it allows them to let you go and move on with their life. Like that attitude, that interview attitude, and again, it's edited, it's always edited to be sensational, but like the grass is always greener. JR is hot. It's like, ma'am, I can acknowledge other people are physically attractive, but enough to break up with your person? Like that's not your person.
Baby, I know all the games you play. I've seen it all before. You ain't here to
Oh, okay. So this is the episode where they're going to be with the original couples to, I guess, have their one night together, which is so weird to think about, honestly, but okay.
Everybody in that room that was receiving the ultimatum, they felt like they were like in trouble.
Okay, this is Dave and Vanessa. Didn't they say in the last episode there was like an age gap? Or maybe that was wrong, but Dave is 34 and Vanessa's 30. That's not an age gap. Like 5 years is hardly an age gap. Like 5 years is fine. Like that's like a good age gap. But 10 years is an age gap, or 6 years or 7 or 8 or 9. I thought I swear, didn't he say like, oh, there's an age gap? Or was that somebody else? See, now I'm mixing people up already. Guys, let me know in the comments. I don't know.
Ultimatum is giving you it for a reason, like a good reason, and not like,
Is mine not a good reason? At the end of the day, you either know or you're questioning if that's
Right.
the right person for you.
I do feel like I have been 1,000% committed to you.
It confuses me when you're like, oh, but I am 100% committed to you and I am all these things.
I'll go a step further. I think if you end up in a relationship where your partner is bad with money to such a point where you wouldn't share income with them, like you wouldn't share a bank account with them, that's not your high compatibility partner. In my mind, a high compatibility partner is also somebody who's healthy. Now, there's a difference if they have like Alzheimer's and you can't put them in charge of the bank account because they'll spend the money. And there's a difference between a grown-up adult with no reason or rhyme, who's actually just so bad with money you can't trust them to share an account or to share income or trust them to pay the bills if you give them money. Like trust is the biggest foundational issue or reason a marriage succeeds or fails. And so for that not to be there, for him to say, I'm 1,000% committed to you. If you're 1,000% committed to me, what are you so afraid of? Because that's the issue. Now, at least in my 20s, I was very forthcoming with my partners. I was very honest that I said, I'm not 1,000% committed in this relationship. I'm not going to cheat on you. And I'm not going to do anything malicious towards you, but I'm not committed for life. And I need to get to a certain point in this relationship to be committed for life. And that is high compatibility. And we just never got there. Still, the greatest decision I ever made was not marrying anybody in my 20s, not making a baby with anybody in my 20s. Thank you, universe. Every decision I made in my 20s, even though I wasn't the healthiest person at the time, I made it because I knew I could be healthier. And I was, girl. I made that switch. I made that difference. I changed as a person. This guy, he's 34. He's probably going to be this way forever if he wants to be. But for him to say I'm 1,000% committed, but then you're on this show, ma'am.
You're like, oh, but marriage. Ooh.
I don't go, oh, marriage. Like, that's not
Okay,
what
but-
I do.
Okay.
Why is it that marriage screams to you, he's more committed than he was before, and I need it?
Because the reason you won't get married, to me, says you do think there's a difference as well. These people who are like, oh, what does marriage matter? It doesn't matter unless you think it matters. If you're a person who's avoiding marriage, then you know it matters. For the same reason that person thinks getting married matters. If you're the kind of couple that genuinely doesn't have to get married to be committed, which is beautiful, right? I think my partner and I were committed the moment we got engaged. That was actually the moment we became committed and we integrated our lives and we've never turned back. But it wasn't the marriage, but it was the commitment. We were serious. But we would do anything. If it took marriage to make our life more, reasonable, we did it, right? Whatever it takes to make the relationship work, we're a team. He is avoiding the responsibility of doing whatever it takes to make the marriage work, which tells me he's not in it to win it, which tells me that getting married is a big deal to him, but he's trying to put it on her. Well, Vanessa, what does it matter if we're married if I'm committed to you? Well, apparently something, Dave, because you won't do it, which tells me there's something going on. Now, if you're the kind of person who says, I don't believe in marriage and I don't believe in the institution, good for you. But some of us aren't privileged enough to manage paperwork without that marriage, because marriage, that is a tool to work with immigration. It's a tool for health insurance. It's a tool for so many things in the world. And a lot of couples who are on disability right now wish they could get married, but can't because they'll lose their disability. So with peace and love, you can sit here and say, like, I don't want to get married, but you're just like obviously in a position where you can't maybe. And if you believe for some reason that truly marriage doesn't matter to you and it's just a piece of paper and you're going to take some principled stance against the institution of marriage, then you need to find somebody who also believes that. It's like a religion. You got to find someone that believes in that religion so you're on the same page.
I feel like I've answered this question at least 1,000 times. You know, if I could be with someone who's like gun-ho, like ready to dive in the deep end without any hesitations or questions about
How
like
deep is
going,
the deep end?
What do you mean? We're here.
Yeah, we're here. Hello.
If you feel like you're never gonna commit to me, we're done. Like, I genuinely mean that.
Yeah.
I am kind of surprised that you want to give me like this big of a pressure, like the ultimatum. I mean, there's a very high likelihood that I connect with somebody during the dating week.
Excuse me, Dave, is that a threat? Girl, dump him right now.
The girl who's sitting right across from us,
Mariah?
Mariah. I was like, that's really interesting.
Mariah's 24 and he's 34. Too big of an age gap. Inappropriate. Absolutely not, Dave. Mariah is 24. Absolutely not, Dave. You are 34. Absolutely inappropriate. No, absolutely not. And also, dump him right now. The love of your life is not going to sit across from you from a couch and be like, ooh, that 24-year-old looks pretty hot. Ma'am, this is not a man who's going to stay with you through Alzheimer's. This is a man who's going to ditch you in his 40s and 50s when he has a midlife crisis and buys a Ferrari. Okay? Absolutely not.
She was like,
She's 24.
Exactly.
just telling
Thank
you
you,
what I thought.
Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa.
it was interesting.
Ugh.
The fact I had to give an ultimatum just because of the answers is crazy. Nick and Vanessa did say that they broke up and that's what kind of brought them back together. So I feel like us breaking up in this experience will bring us back together stronger than ever.
But that's only if I give you the answer that you want.
So they're 27 and 28. They're pretty young. They're both beautiful. Oh my gosh. I wonder about them. Chanel and Micah, love their names. Both of them have great names. I wonder about that. I don't think they had any speaking time in the last episode, right? Did I miss that? So, because I didn't have them written down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 couples. So there's 6 couples. Okay.
You've given me the ultimatum. You're saying you're ready to get married, but if we are to take that step, how do you see yourself as my wife?
I don't know what that means. Is this a different cultural bubble? The whole like, how do you see yourself as my wife? I don't think I've ever asked my partner that question. How do you see yourself as my partner? Because it has to do with I guess. I don't know what that means. Let's see.
How am I ready to be a wife? And I feel like we've gone through
Okay, a wife or his wife?
so much where I prove that I'm really here for you.
I think even that sentiment that you have to prove you're ready to be my wife is, I think, negative language. I think we should stay instead. You don't have to prove you're ready to be my wife. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Do you think you're there yet? It's like, what do I have to do to prove it to you? People who are already there don't have to prove it. It's just the proof is in the pudding. Proving is in the pudding. It's like people who say, like, what do I have to do to prove to you I'm out of debt? Well, you wouldn't have to prove it to me. You wouldn't have debt. Like it just is or it isn't. It's like, oh, what do I have to do to prove to you that I have a 6-pack? You could lift up your shirt, but you either have a 6-pack or you don't. You're either ready to be my partner or you are compatible with me or you're not. It's not even personal at that point. You either are compatible or you're not.
In all of our moments, and it's still a question.
Ooh, what does that mean too? Like, we've been through so much together. Is that fighting and toxicity and infidelity and all that stuff? Because if that's not what you want to build a relationship on.
You've been there for me, but I've been there for you too. When we first met, you was Ubering.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, keeping score, negative. Do not keep score. Couples who keep score, divorce more prominent, more prevalent, and breakups more. It's a negative feeling. Well, I did this and you did this and I did this. It's like, have those conversations before you start feeling like you're being taken advantage of, if it even gets to that point. But like the keeping score, when we first met, you were Ubering. Okay. But then to be fair, they're in their 20s. And I, much like them, I was in partnerships where people would try to keep score with me and it was exhausting. And then I would keep score and it was exhausting. So from personal experience, do not keep score.
You know, you're doing Uber Eats Who was with you every day?
You.
After I finished working, I'm with you.
Isn't that just what you would do in a relationship?
Pulling up to the spot, I'm hopping out, getting the food, jumping back in. We off to the next race. Like,
Well, I'm not saying that you were never there for me. I'm just saying that that I just don't want to constantly be called your wife and then
Yeah.
nothing ever come from it, you know?
it's gonna happen. I just don't think right now is just the right time.
Break up.
Think about it. Like, you just got started in marketing. Like, how happy did you feel when you got that job?
Really happy.
That imagine we get married, you're just getting really started in this career, and then kids and stuff happen, and then now you have to maybe
Getting married does not mean you have to have kids, just FYI. This feels weird. Like, what is this mindset? See, in my head, I remember I had gone out of my 20s dating and I got into my 30s. And one of the rules I had in my 30s dating was we're not moving in together. We're not doing life together until we're sure. Because like, I'm very independent. I have my own job. I make my own money. I'm not interested in moving somebody out of my apartment once again. I've done that so many times in my life, moving out, moving in. I'm so sick of it. So when I told this partner now that I married, when we were courting, when we were dating, I told them I don't want to live with you. They were independent. They had their own job, had their own apartment. So we would just fly back and forth between Europe and America. And we would see each other. We would, we both had an okay savings account. We both had, our jobs. We both were making an effort to make sure we were compatible. We met each other's families. We did the whole thing. And we did this with intention the whole time. From the moment, a couple weeks into meeting each other, we were like, hey, I think I really like you. Do you want to see if we're compatible? We went into it with that mindset. Do you want to see if we're compatible? This is like, hey, we can't get married. It's going to slow down your career. Why? Now I can see if you're both disabled and you say we can't get married, we'll lose our benefits, then sure, I'm with you. Don't get married, right? I've seen some, I'll watch I go all over YouTube watching all kinds of call-in shows, like advice shows. And I'll be in the conservative bubble sometimes. And the conservatives are always like, get married no matter what. And I don't believe that. If you're both disabled, and I say this as a disabled person, and you have disabled benefits, right? And if you get married, you lose those benefits because now your incomes are, quote, together and you make too much money, which is so silly because God knows you're not making enough money if you're disabled. But okay, statistically, just probability wise, right? Not that disabled people can't make lots of money, but it's just less of a chance. Anyways, you lose your benefits. That would be a reason not to get married, but you can still be committed. In this situation, what's the reason not to get married except to avoid commitment, or because you don't actually want to be with this person, or because there's trust issues? What's the reason? The actual reason.
But it's not like I'm asking you to get me pregnant or have kids right now.
I don't know, Chanel. Like, they say marriage is the biggest decision of your life. So I don't feel like I'm like in a rush.
It is. It is the biggest financial decision, emotional decision. Your life is on the line. It is the biggest decision of your life. And you want to make it with somebody who's 100% sure of you and is 100% aiming towards a healthy present and healthy future. This isn't healthy enough, or, he has the right to not feel compatible with her, but the reasons he's giving her are silly. So break up and move on. Just look at the data. Look at the numbers. It is better to stay single, especially as a woman, than to risk the chances of being with an unhealthy male partner. So you want to be very focused on choosing your high compatibility partner, somebody who really genuinely loves you. A wholesome, beautiful love. Wholesome. Not materialistic, not showing off, not shallow. Wholesome.
When do you know the right time?
You do. You will know because you'll know it's the right person. Trust, I'm telling you, it is so different dating a high compatibility partner versus everybody else. It is so different. It's shocking. Like, you're like, oh, like this is unlike anything I've ever experienced because it's healthy. It's smooth. It's well-intentioned. Everything we do is well-intentioned. Even if there's miscommunication, it's well-intentioned. We fix it. We talk things through. We don't let things fester. We don't let months go by of being negative or feeling negative. We are so in love. We're so focused on the health of the marriage that we do everything possible to make sure we're being communicative, even when it's sensitive topics, right? These people, I feel like sometimes have these men, especially like Dave, like they're not in it, but they want the benefit of being in the relationship. And it's like, if you're only with me to have the benefit of having a girl or being with a partner, that's not enough.
Are going to be my wife. Yes, I want to have children with you. Yes, I want to grow old. I want to get the house. I want to raise these kids. I want all of that, but it's just
At the right time.
not the right time.
Break up. No such thing as right person, wrong time. Break up.
Waking up each morning, is it promised all the time?
I just want us to be ready. What if at the end of this, I don't have an answer? Like,
I would have to leave.
I don't know this woman's sexual orientation, but has she considered gay dating? I'm just saying, is she a pansexual, bisexual queen? Because she's beautiful. I'm just saying, maybe a woman, maybe a man who is a woman. That's my favorite suggestion for my cis people who don't know anything about queerness or gender bending. We're talking about men who are men, but are women, and women that are women, but they're men, or gender fluid people who are both, or non-binary people who are neither. I am curious about the gender of some of these people, because even though we're assuming they're cis men and women, maybe there's something going on. Maybe some gender fluidity, maybe some non-binary people that we don't know about. But either way, she might be a non-straight woman. Okay. So like for all the people who might be watching me for the first time, this is a very gender inclusive space, which means the nuance around gender is going to be vast and the orientation options are open and vast. And so we never know. But I always feel like sometimes women who date men should consider dating women or non-binary people or gender fluid people or men who are less concerned with being men. So men who are women are men. I love categorization. So this is my own categorization, are men who aren't concerned with being a man. I want to make sure we're ready as the man. You're going to be my wife. It's like, okay, you're putting way too much pressure on these gender binaries for me. It's too much. Sandy and Nick.
It's our last night.
27.
I'm interested to see who you connect with, who I connect with.
After
38.
tonight, like we're gonna be.
Okay, hold on. 27 and 38. Yeah, stupid. Why are you dating? What are you talking about? You're in different worlds. What does a 38-year-old and a 27-year-old have in common? What do you have in common, bro? And how long have you been dating? Was she like 25 years old? What do you have in common with a 27-year-old at 38? No wonder you guys are in different parts of your life. Let this woman still go to clubs and party and do her thing. She's not even in her 30s yet. And he's almost 40. Of course, they're in different stages of their life. Hello?
You say this now, and then I'm gonna get these
Don't
texts.
worry, I know you're not gonna be texting me.
I'm gonna get these texts.
You're gonna love to not have to text me.
No, that's not true.
It's fine. I know you'll be thinking about me. I mean, I want to walk out of here with you, but there obviously are like hesitations that I have, or else we would be engaged, you know? I want you to love my fire. Like,
Your fire directed towards your passions is a beautiful thing. Your fire directed towards me with
you're my passion.
Okay.
You are.
No.
Good and bad. Like
No.
you are, I'm so passionate about you and you
I
know that.
but you should put that passion towards, swinging a golf club and like,
No, I'm not that passionate about that.
or somehow.
I'm not into abusive relationships, and she's coming off as kind of toxic abusive right now. Why are you taking out aggression on your partners? Toxic, abusive, no.
Hobby that you can get your aggression out on.
You're my hobby.
No.
I shouldn't be your hobby. I should be your husband
babe,
and not your hobby. You're the wrong.
No.
You're using the wrong age.
She feels really toxic to me anyways. I mean, the moment she said that thing about JR, I was like, nah, girl, it's too toxic for me. See how there's a toxic association with people who keep clubbing, keep looking for grass greener on the other side. Like people that are always like, oh, I'm passionate. I'm whatever. No, girl.
I miss you.
Shut up. You're here now. I don't want to think about that.
I know, but I've already
Let's
missed
just be
you.
together.
Okay, so Aria's 25 and Scotty's 30. Okay, age gap, but difficult because, when you're 25, you're still in the youth. 20s are to learn your mistakes and 30s are to practice the lessons learned and 40s are to excel and 50s are to just have the best life ever. So I feel like if you're 25 with a 30-year-old, it's a fine age gap. I have no problem with it, but it can be the younger person still kind of becoming an adult and the 30-year-old moving into adulthood. So it can be really difficult. And I know for all those people in different bubbles that were like, I was an adult at 19. We were all adults at 19 who had jobs and paid taxes. We're talking about maturity levels here. And all those people that are like, I was 17 and very mature for my age. You were parentified or traumatized. Thank you for coming to my channel. Thank you. So let's see how they handle it.
Am I sad that we're breaking up and we're gonna be exes? For sure. But also, I don't think that it is ridiculous to say that, like, I don't know that we had to go this route. There are obviously nuances in our relationship that have brought us to this point. And I think
Just not being on the same page.
yeah, and I mean, I think if we're gonna be married, then we
kinda have to be
we
on the
need to
same
be on the
page.
same page.
I agree.
We've been in different cities, different states for the last, 9 months now?
Wow.
Like, you can only grow so
That's really hard. So actually, statistically, long distance relationships are just not going to work for most people. They're very difficult. They're very difficult for me to maintain. And I had one for a short while. They're very hard to maintain. So I don't recommend it. I've done it multiple times with multiple partners, and you really gotta be on the same page for it to work, I think. And so I can understand the concern over this. I think my goal would be to move them as close to each other as possible, to get them living with each other and committed, because I think that would be important. But I think they've been together already a few years now. I could be wrong. I'm going to learn more details about the couples as it comes out. But if they've already been together for a while, I feel like there is a way for them to know. Sometimes it's not the time, it's what you do in that time. Like for me and my partner, we're both talkers. So we probably exchanged like 30,000 messages over the course of our long distance relationship in like 6 months. So we communicated a lot. We talked all the time. We were asking each other very personal questions. On the first date alone, we talked about finances, medical health, red flags, anything that would make somebody be like, nah, I'm breaking up, no second date. Anything that would stop us from getting to a second date, we covered in the first date. That way we wouldn't have to, one, waste each other's time, but two, it was just like clear. We're either compatible or we're not, right? Are we compatible enough to get to a second date? And I think with a lot of relationships, and I did this in my 20s, you worry less about being compatible on the first date and you worry more about vibing. And then all of a sudden you've been living with someone for 2 years and you don't know why you're together. I get it. We've all been there. So I think he's right. They should be on the same page. And I think I'm curious why they can't be in the same area if they have jobs. Like, why can't he move? Why can't she move? I'm waiting to see what they do for a living so I can understand that better.
So close with another person over text and over calls and FaceTimes, like that's not, to me, the way that you really build an emotional connection with someone.
Will that be kind of interesting that most of the girls that are here like live in LA?
I'm not looking for someone that is living in LA. Like, I think what I want is someone that has shown or displayed moments of compromise in their own relationship with their ex.
Oh.
Because,
why do you say that? As
because
like
I
the
feel
most
like we
important?
have an issue compromising sometimes.
Oh.
But I feel like we both have compromised.
We've both compromised, but I think we sometimes have difficulty compromising with each other.
Compromise is very complicated because a lot of people say compromise. What they're really saying is compromise on values. Never compromise on values. Only compromise on who's doing the dishes. You meet each other in the middle to help with chores, to get each other when things are going badly, to do, responsibilities, but never values. So when they say we have issues with compromising, I want to know what that's about. Is it about values? Because you don't compromise on values, girl. That's how you end up in a bad relationship.
Our relationship, at least recently, hasn't had a ton of emotional connection because we've been apart.
Fair.
So do you feel like you're also looking for like an emotional connection too?
I just think it's funny that he's like, we can't get emotionally connected over text, FaceTime, and being together for a while, but I'm going to build an emotional connection with these people over 3 weeks. What are you talking about? What's this guy's name? Scott? Is this Scotty and Aria? What are you talking about, Scotty? You're going to build an intimate connection with these randos after 3 weeks, which I guess is technically possible. It took 2 weeks of my partner and I getting to know each other as like people for us to be like, hey, are you like, should we see what's going on here? And then boom, 6 months after we were engaged. So to be fair, but also they've already had all of that time and they're still on this show. Now here's the real question. Are any of the couples who had to be on this show, is that the sign that they're not high compatibility partners? I would argue yes. Now, can you go from a 70% to a 90%? Sure, it's just going to take a lot of effort. So the question is how fast is that going to come about? Think about it that way. When you talk about percentages and high compatibility partners, when we're talking about like if you start at 40%, you can get to 99, but girl, that's going to take an incredible amount of effort and work on everybody's part. You might even have to fundamentally change as people while you're dating to get to that point. Might be good, might not be good, right? Sometimes change is good. You always want to change as a person. I'm going to be a very different person in a year, but also I'm still, me, but I'm going to be a very different version of myself. I'm sure we always are. We're always changing, hopefully. Not all people change, as we've seen from some of the men in their display of communication, Dave. So you have to ask yourself, are we at 60%? Are we at 70? Are we at 80? Because the closer in percentage you are to the higher percentages, the faster the relationship goes and the more sure you are, because obviously you have the data. Because what that high compromise gives you is the data that you're actually going to spend the rest of your life with someone who's fabulous through sickness and in health, which is a very big deal. Marriage is the biggest deal. It's like one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. And so you got to do it right by making sure it's wholesome and loving and respectable and mature and all of the good things. All of the good things, none of the bad things. You don't need any bad in your relationship. There's no reason to have bad things in marriage. Marriage isn't hard, but life is hard. There's no reason to have anything bad in marriage when life itself already has enough bad, girl. We already got to pay our tax out here. Then you want to come home to a bad marriage? There is zero reasons to have negative things in marriage. And if you see that going on, go to counseling, talk about it. In no way, shape, or form, like, is there any reason to have bad things in a marriage? There's That bad things is different, just to be clear, than having disagreements or having conversations or talking things out. Bad is like abusive, toxicity, cheating, infidelity of any kind, hiding things from your partner, the stuff like that. That's bad.
I've spent a considerable amount of time alone recently. And so, yeah, I mean, I think like an emotional connection to someone, especially someone that really like understands me. I think I'm also looking for someone that
Wants to be married.
yeah, like that is interested in taking that next step.
Okay, yeah. Scotty gave Aria, that's her name, the ultimatum. So he's ready and she's not. I wonder why she's not ready. I wonder if the compromise he's talking about is getting married or wanting to be together. That's interesting, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
He might be so desperate that he might form a connection with somebody in this situation that isn't true just because he's so desperate. In some situations, like I think you have to be pretty desperate to go on this show in a sense. And desperate is a really difficult place to come from when making a big decision. Mariah.
As soon as I start to think about the overall experience that I'm going to be going through, it's not cool.
I see the value in it.
Okay, so Caleb's 29 and she's 24. Didn't Caleb also say that he wants Mariah to go like live her life and experiment and not necessarily like settle down yet? 29, 24? What's going on?
And even though it's a very difficult experience, I feel like we're going to be better for it. I'm curious.
My man got dead eyes. There's nothing necessarily telling about dead eyes. Like you can have dead eyes and be autistic, which is ableism if you think that makes you a bad person just because you have dead eyes. Or it could be a sign of like maybe a lack of skilled empathy, which empathy is a skill. Don't brag if you think you're an empath. You're not. You're a psychopath probably. Just kidding. That's a joke. High sarcasm, guys. High sarcasm. I do think he's very dead eyes. And that's interesting to me. But maybe it's the way he was raised or his personality type. I don't know. I don't want to say anything definitively because I don't really believe in judging people on their eyes. But, you know, it's kind of interesting.
Of what this dating experience will be like. I know it's something you...
I mean, she kind of has dead eyes too, actually. Maybe they're autistic. Shout out to my autists. Maybe they're neurodivergent.
Brought up multiple times of like me taking some time for myself or like getting to know other people. And I truly never saw it.
They are weirdly compatible feeling. They almost feel like siblings, which is interesting. The couples who feel like siblings, don't they feel like siblings? Interesting. They have very similar, like kind of uncanny valley. Is that what it's called? Uncanny valley. They're both like attractive, but kind of look, they have interesting vibes.
Because in my mind, I'm like, you know, you rush into marriage at a young age and then here you are mid-40s married and you're going, whoa, I never even took a moment for myself.
See, that's crazy to be 29 and be like, I never took a moment for yourself. What'd you do your whole 20s? What do you mean? You've been alive almost 30 years. You never took a moment for yourself? And if marriage feels like you can't take a moment for yourself, that's crazy. I think marriage involves two individuals coming together, not two halves of a whole, but two whole people coming together to form a union and a team to do life together. That's what it is. It's like the greatest adventure of life, but also you're doing it together. And there, you know, I have my own hobbies, my own job, my own life, my own friends, my own everything. So does my partner. They have their own things going on, but together we have our marriage together. That's what we share. We share our marriage and our life together, which means we have overlap even in those things. We have mutual friends, we have mutual hobbies, we have other things, right? But the thing that confuses me when people say like, oh my gosh, I'm 40, they're talking about midlife crisis, right? A midlife crisis happens when you're not living in the present. A midlife crisis happens when you're not paying attention and being intentional about your life, and then you wake up one day and don't know how you got there. Be intentional about your life now, today. So you do not have a midlife crisis in your 40s. And plus, for a lot of us millennials that were living very present in our life in our 20s, we had a 25-year-old crisis. Our midlife crisis came in our 20s. At least it did for me. So I know I'm not going to have a midlife crisis because I learned in my 20s to live in the present. This man, 29, and is afraid of a midlife crisis, which tells me he's not living in the present. And living in the present does not mean getting married to somebody you're not high compatibility with. It means being very in your life, being intentional about your life, right?
I was just always rushing to the next step. And then all of a sudden you could be resenting me or you could be wanting out or that's where midlife crisis happens.
Oh, okay. That means you have to stay on the same page, be communicative. My partner and I check in every day with each other. We check in every morning. How are you feeling? How are you doing? We check in the afternoon and evening. Naturally, because we're talkative people, we just check in with each other. How are you doing? Are you good? Are you happy? Do you need anything? And it's not annoying and it's not tedious because we genuinely want to know. And if we feel like we're overstimulating each other, we also communicate very clearly. I love you. You're overstimulating me. I'm fine. I love you. And it's like, okay. And like, you have to trust that person is telling you the truth because you tell the truth to each other. So one of the reasons I can trust what my partner says is because we also have a open communication relationship. We tell each other everything. And for those of you asking me in my comment section, Brittany, isn't there anything you ever are like too embarrassed to tell your partner? I'm going to be really real with you. I tell him embarrassing things all the time. I tell him I'm about to be embarrassed, TMI, but I need to tell you this thing. And we tell each other everything. And we just kind of move past it because, yes, I have those embarrassing things like, hey, my tummy feels bad today. Can I tell you about my body? And we tell each other. And those are the things we really are thinking about. It's like our health concerns. We want to tell each other everything so that we can see a doctor if we need to, or we can get help if we need to. But there's nothing about our life that isn't. There's nothing about our life truly that is even worth keeping a secret, to be honest. Like, there's nothing going on. You know what I mean? I think everything I would tell my partner, I could probably tell a sibling, but they wouldn't receive it the same way. A partner is somebody who receives you in a very different way than your family or friends. That's why they're significant, because they're able to receive you in a more intimate way, in a clear way. They understand you better. So I could tell my siblings probably everything I could tell my partner, but they wouldn't get it because they don't see those parts of me in the same way, right? My partner sees me, we see each other, we're able to receive each other in a very different and significant other way, which is why we're doing life together. To be able to receive somebody is significant. And I think this is what the couples are missing. Dave, who's my arch enemy now, officially doesn't understand the significance of that. So he can't process it as significant. I think that's the dilemma with any of these types of relationships, is I don't think we understand how significant it is. And I think when you're not in a high compatibility partnership, it probably doesn't feel significant because it probably isn't. You're not significantly receiving somebody. You're not significantly seeing somebody. And that's probably why it doesn't feel as safe or secure, because it's not enough. You're only seeing 10% of that person. That's not enough to feel fully in the relationship. But when somebody sees you 95, 100%, you're, whoa, that is so significant, right? Those are your high compatibility partners.
Today is the first official date day.
Oh.
It's going to be really, really, really weird to think of you as an ex. For us to have gotten to this point in our relationship,
I think his smile might be a little nervousness or something, because I'm sure we could write him off. I don't know. I'm trying not to judge too much. I'm just going off the first episode. He does this smile thing with his face, which looks like dismissiveness, like he's dismissing her, but it could be also nervousness.
It seemed like communication was the issue, and, not hearing reassurance enough from you. That gray space really, took a toll on our relationship. And so I think I'm overall sad. But
I hate to say it, but does he kind of remind you of Mr. Beast? Which is not exactly a compliment, since he also has dead eyes that people don't like. But he kind of looks like Mr. Beast to me.
It's really happening. Like, we are,
but like better looking, but like he's got that look. Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Beast, who allegedly just got engaged. So,
separating. But this experience is important for us.
Also, keep in mind that Netflix does edit the shows in a way that could evoke anger out of the viewer. So maybe he's like, look at this huge smile. Maybe he's not smiling in this exact moment. Maybe they're editing it to look like he is. But look, he's smiling and it's reaching his eyes. But then he's still kind of, it doesn't match for me. Why is he, like, is he that nervous? He could be that nervous.
I'm just feeling in all the things.
Like, she's literally on the verge of crying. Why are you smiling?
Yeah.
I don't know. As an autistic woman myself, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, you're not picking up on the social cues correctly. Because like, I've been there. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there's like a miscommunication happening with what's happening, but like like it feels weird to smile right now.
Open up your mind, venture out, discover your reality. Who you find.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be here with you right now.
At the end of the day, we just need to walk in our truth, and we have to let that guide us.
Let whatever happens, happens. And that's what we
And
built.
that's been our whole relationship,
yeah,
is not
exactly.
forcing anything, and that's why it's
Exactly.
been so great.
Yeah, they've been together a couple years, and they're 32 and 33. They said they go with the flow kind of relationship, which is fair. I think that's it's fine. If you don't want to date to be intentional, that's okay. If you want to date to sort of get to know somebody and see if this is your person, that's fine. I do think there's a difference for me personally in my dating life where in my 20s, I just dated to see where things were going, and it just didn't work out for me as well. I think I could have avoided a lot of bad relationships if I had been intentional about dating. But to be fair, in my 20s, I didn't even know what I wanted yet. I thought I did, but I was wrong. Like everything I thought I wanted in my 20s basically didn't show up in my 30s. I wanted a very different life in my 30s. Some things carried over, but not very many things. In my 30s, I went very intentional with dating. Once I turned 30, I was like, that's it. I'm going to be very intentional. Either we're getting to a second date or we're not, but we're going to go over things on the first date because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to waste my time. But also, I had loved my life by 30. By 30, I was like loving my life. I had created a great life. I had everything was good. And all of my 30s have just been the best time of my life. And my 40s are going to be even better. But my 20s gave me the ability to test all of those things, to make all those mistakes, to learn all of those lessons. And then I took all of the wisdom that I learned from my 20s and integrated it into my 30s. And I think my life is better for it. So I don't blame them for wanting a let's see where this goes relationship. But because they weren't intentional about dating, now we're a couple years in and we're on the show The Ultimatum. I think that's what I think. It makes sense to me, at least, that they would be here.
You had a choice in being here too. So there's something that you wanted to discover for yourself.
You're very like quirky and outgoing. So to see you giving that same energy to someone else is going to be weird for me.
Yeah.
I think you'll get jealous.
Well, see, jealousy is interesting because jealousy is the fear of losing something you have, which is ironic that he wouldn't feel jealous the moment she gave the ultimatum in some aspects. Envy is wanting something someone else has. So the curiosity is like he could feel jealousy over seeing her with someone else because he could actually be fearful of him losing her now. But it's funny that you will give a man an ultimatum, you'll give a woman an ultimatum, and they don't experience the jealousy just yet. But the moment they see you with someone else, it's like real. Now they have a physical representation of you moving on. So there's a high probability he could experience jealousy. I'm assuming there's going to be jealousy throughout the series. It's normal. It makes sense. Jealousy is a normal human experience. It happens. So it would make sense in this scenario that lots of people might feel jealousy.
I don't know. You always pretend like you don't care. You're just like, eh.
Ooh, that's the problem. Who wants to be in a marriage where your partner doesn't seem like they care? Why would you want to have kids with somebody who seems like they don't care? Not caring is not the same thing as being chill. Having a chill partner is not the same thing as having a partner who doesn't care.
I'm not pretending half the time.
Are you concerned about anything?
Yeah, I'm concerned with you possibly matching with someone and
Is that Mother Mary tattooed to his shoulder? Girl, go to church. What are you doing on this show?
feelings. You know, you could possibly fall in love with someone here.
Either of us could find someone that's more compatible, and maybe you'll be like, oh, actually, I want to propose to this person. They check off all my boxes. Like,
And I've said this before with Love is Blind, though I think it's less likely with Ultimatum, that if you're someone who would go on Love is Blind, then your high compatibility partner would probably also be on that show. Ultimatum feels different to me. I don't think your high compatibility partner is on the Ultimatum. I don't think anyone's high compatibility partner is on a show where you have to give an ultimatum to your partner and beg them to be with you. I just think all of these couples are probably not healthy enough to be in healthy relationships because they have to go on a show via an ultimatum, in my opinion.
could happen.
Highly unlikely.
You're about to see me like get dressed for my first date with someone else.
Weird.
You better not wear this. Nah.
So are you gonna help me pick out my outfit
Nope.
for my first
I
date?
do not care what you're wearing. I don't want to help you.
This is do or die. Can I hear the line?
Bye. See you when I see you.
Same. This is do or die. Can I hear the line? I do too.
I love you.
Tell me that you feel this way.
I cannot tell. Like, I think monogamy and polyamory and all these things are lifestyle decisions, you know. I don't think they're orientations or anything. I do think more people are biologically more complementary to certain types of relationships. But like, if these are monogamous people and they're like kissing each other goodbye to go be with somebody else, like my brain cannot comprehend it. Polyamory, open, swinging, for sure, 100% valid. But if they're monogamous, like my brain cannot handle this information. But that's because I'm imagining being with my high compatibility partner. If you're not with your high compatibility partner, sure, this makes sense. The grass is always greener. There's somebody else. And to be honest, if you're not with your high compatibility partner, technically there is literally someone else better out there for you. It's your high compatibility partner. That's why I think we should make rejection and breaking up normalized to allow people an opportunity to say, I love you. And I've been so grateful for this opportunity and this like experience, but I just don't think we're there. And I don't think we're going to get there. And I think that our people are out there, and I would rather be single than in a relationship where I always feel like we're never going to get there. And I think that's really, really valid.
I love you. Love you too.
Now, this is it. You are not mine. I am not yours. Like, you know, we're definitely both in it to really be in it. And I told him I'm going to block him.
No.
So he can't reach
oh my
out to me
gosh.
anyway. Like, first date, where are you? Come on.
I don't know if I like that. That makes me sad. Can you imagine, like, you think you're with the love of your life, so you block them? Even for this experiment, feels weird.
I just want to dive in head first. Like, let's do it.
Okay, so that is the second part of episode 1. We're going to leave it here. We'll do a third part for when the couples start doing their initial dating. So far, I think I'm sad for everybody. My heart goes out to everybody. This is really difficult. And more than that, it's such a good lesson for you and I to remember that your high compatibility partner is not going to put you in this situation. I think it's true. It's not that the ultimatum is the negative thing. It's just the fact that we have to be on a show. We haven't had conversations. Like, what was the time between when they first had the conversation about problems in the relationship to the time they applied for the show, for the time they ended up filming the show? Like, how many opportunities for closure, for counseling, for therapy happened between signing up for the show and the filming of the show that could have saved or broken up the relationship before this? I couldn't even understand giving my partner an ultimatum and getting to the point where we applied for a show and got here. But then again, they're not me and I'm not them. So maybe it's just hard for me to see their perspective because I couldn't imagine it being me. So if you're like them and you could see yourself on this show, please let us know in the comment sections down below what that's like, because you're having an experience that I'm not having and I would love to know more about it. Okay, girls, I'll see you next episode for part 3, episode 1. Thank you for being here. Please like and share this with somebody in your life who's also watching Ultimatum so we can all share each other's opinions in the comment sections down below. Talk to you soon. Bye.
In my head, in real life while in bed, my belly's being fed and I'm okay. I'm just fine, yet all I do is whine. Not to you in my mind, cause I know I don't make sense. I've been nothing but blessed, so why's my life a mess? Please tell me, cause I'm sick of thinking. Yeah, I'm sick of reaching out for the truth and living life as a fool.